Hi, I'm here to talk about St. Augustine, or Augustine of Hippo, and his contribution to education. He was born on November 13th in the year 354. His dad was pagan and his mom was Christian, and he was raised as a Christian. Went to Christian schools. He was about 15 years old when his love of philosophy started to grow, and he began to become the person that we remember today as one of the greatest philosophers of all time. When he was 17 years old, he got to go to the school of Carthage, and while he was there, he started following a different religion and lived a different lifestyle that was, very different from how he was raised. After some time there, Augustine transferred to a school called the Gast, where he taught grammar. He then went back to Carthage, where he taught rhetoric for 9 years. Eventually, he got tired of the crude way that most of the students lived there at Carthage, and he left for Rome, where he intended to start a school. He thought that Rome would have the brightest and best minds. Unfortunately, he was pretty disappointed when he got there, and people wouldn't pay him for the education that he provided them with, so he left pretty quickly, and he headed to Milan. And in Milan, he had the opportunity to be a rhetoric teacher for the imperial court, which was a very prestigious position for him. While he was here, he began to move back into Christianity because of pressure from his mom, but also because he wanted to. During his life, he wrote hundreds of books and sermons, and it was about this time that in his life that he wrote 3 of his most influential and famous books. They were Conventions of St. Augustine, The City of God, and On Christian Doctrines. He moved later back home to Africa and was made Bishop of Hippo, hence the name Augustine of Hippo. He worked really hard for the rest of his life to convert the people of Hippo to Christianity, and he died in the year 430. Some of the main points that I feel pretty much sum up his life and his teachings are the following. There's 4 of them. The first one is loving relationships between a teacher and student, striving for God as you obtain an education. Number 3 is treating and teaching a child as the individual that they are. And number 4 is speaking to students in a way that will that will influence action. The first one is the teacher and student loving relationships. He explained that that students will really learn significantly better if they feel that their teachers love them, and that if they feel that their teachers want them to succeed. In my own experience, I really do feel like the teachers today have kind of integrated this into the way that they teach. I've, especially in elementary school, felt pretty loved, and, like my teachers did want me to succeed, and that I could go to them if I had problems. Not always, but most of the time I felt like that was the case. So, I've thought about it, and if I do become a teacher, I want my students to feel that way about me, that I want them to feel that I love them and know that they can come to me if they ever need to. And Augustine's second point was to strive for God as you obtain your education. This is a pretty controversial topic today in the world, but thankfully at our school at BYU we have the knowledge of the gospel, and we get to integrate that into our education, so we are able to do this very thing. And obviously, Augustine knew what he was talking about. We learn in the Doctrine and Covenants that the knowledge we gain here on earth is the only thing we'll be able to take with us after this life. So with this in mind, I feel like it's easier to strive for God as we do get an education, so that we can, know that, that He really is the ultimate teacher, and we need to remember that Christ and our Heavenly Father, they are the ultimate teachers, and that, they have that model loving relationship with every single one of us, and, we all know that they want us to advance and succeed and do our best, and they'll always be there for us as long as we come to them. I'm going to go out of order here a little bit. My 4th point was speaking in a way as teachers to our students that will inspire action. Our society today is pretty focused on finding and resolving the problems that we have in our society and, in politics and everything. But the drawback is that instead of going out and fixing our problems, we talk about it and then never really take action. And basically it's because we're pretty lazy. But, and we know that it'll take work. But, this is what we as future teachers have to focus on to eliminate. We have to get rid of the thinking that, you can just sit around and think of a solution and then never put it into action. We need to speak as Augustine says, from our hearts, and speak of, with real emotion, and speak of something that we really believe in, so that our students can understand that and can feel that, and can feel like they want to go out and put it into action. We need to teach them how to do that, how to go and affect change into the world. We need to teach them how to take action when they need to. The last focus that I had was treating and teaching each child like the individual that they are. Augustine made it pretty clear in his teachings that he thinks that teachers need to base their lessons off of the students' abilities. The lessons need to change with each and every student and their individual abilities. He told us that, this is really the only true way that students can learn all that they need to and the way that they need to. Every child learns in a different way, and so that they need to be taught in a different way. They need teachers who are patient and willing to work with them until they are able to learn, until they find a way that they can learn. And for me, what I thought of when I read this was alternative schools, all the alternative schools that we have today, and the education that they get there. I think we've done a pretty good job focusing on those children who, need the extra help, need to be taught in a different way, and have been given that help. I think we can do better, of course, but I think we're doing pretty good so far. As a teacher, I hope that I'll be able to take all of these instructions into my own classroom from Augustine. I can see just from reading about them that, what he says is right. He knows what he's talking about, and doing these things that he says really can help educate children better. And hopefully anyone who sees this video or reads about Augustine, knows about him, can become a better teacher because of him, because of the ideas that he gives us. And we have to think about the fact that we are educating the minds of the future. The world will be in their hands soon, in the children's hands that we're teaching. It's our job to help them know what to do with it, so it's pretty important that we do these things that Augustine has told us. Thank you.